In a world that moves too fast, this is your invitation to pause, to explore the space between thought and wonder, where science meets story and emotion meets insight. Here, curiosity is more than a question. It's a way of being. You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
A lot of people believe, quietly or out loud, that once they find the right person, everything in their life is going to settle. The loneliness will ease, the anxiety will calm, and life will finally feel anchored. But when a relationship becomes a life raft, it eventually starts to sink. Not because love is bad, but because no person can hold that much weight in our lives. Hi nerds, if we haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Angel, a mental health professional and the creator of Nerdy Psychology, where we talk about mental health in real, grounded, and human ways, especially patterns that make sense, but quietly hurt us over time. Today's conversation explores relationships, emotional reliance, and fear of being alone. And if these topics feel tender to you, feel free to pause, take breaks, or come back when it feels supportive. There's a powerful cultural story that says, if I just had a partner, I'd be okay. And to be clear, wanting partnership is human. Longing for closeness, that's not a flaw. But when we expect relationship to regulate our emotions or help give us a sense of identity or worth or protect us from loneliness, make us feel whole or complete, that's not connection anymore. That's emotional outsourcing. This often shows up like this. Someone feels lonely, untethered, or uncertain in their life. A new relationship begins, and suddenly there's relief. They sleep better. They feel calmer. They feel chosen. And they think, see, this is what I've been missing. But over time, something shifts. They feel anxious when the other person is unavailable. They fear conflict more than honesty. And they feel destabilized by just normal everyday distance. Not because they're needy, but because the relationship has become their emotional stabilizer. Okay, I want to pause here and name something important without turning this into a cultural or political conversation. There are a lot of messages circulating right now, some loud and some subtle, that suggest your worth depends on being in a certain kind of relationship. That if you're partnered, you're stable. If you're single, you're failing. If your life doesn't follow this narrow script, somehow you're less than. From a mental health perspective, those messages are deeply harmful. They don't encourage healthy connection. They create fear and shame and urgency. And fear-based urgency is exactly what drives people to stay in unhealthy relationships. Attach way too quickly. Accept dynamics that don't feel right or feel safe. Or believe that being alone is worse than being diminished. That pressure doesn't come from truth. It comes from conditional worth narratives, and those always damage mental health. Many people describe a moment when they realize something feels off. They notice their mood rises and falls based on someone else's availability. They feel panicked at the thought of being alone or single again. They're afraid to take up space or to ask for their needs to be met. And the fear underneath it sounds like, if I lose this, I'm going to lose everything. That's not love. That's panic disguised as attachment, often fueled by the belief that being alone means being unworthy. Romantic relationships are meant to be a place of connection, a place of mutual support, a place of growth. They are not meant to be proof of your value, your only source of emotional regulation or protection from loneliness, or a measure of whether your life counts. Love works best when it's a bridge, not a flotation device. The goal isn't independence at all costs. The goal is interdependence. I can self-soothe and I can lean on others. I can feel whole and I can also desire partnership. I can be alone without feeling abandoned. When someone has internal steadiness and external support, relationships feel grounding, not desperate. This is something I explore more deeply in my workbook, helping people recognize when connection turns into this emotional outsourcing and how to build internal steadiness alongside relationships. Not to remove the desire for love, but to make love healthier. I have also created a free emotion checklist that's especially helpful when relationship anxiety or those feelings of urgency spikes. It helps you name what you're already feeling. Identify whether fear or loneliness is driving your urge. Choose responses rooted in steadiness, not in fear or panic. And I'm going to link that below. All right, here's your takeaway for this week. If you notice yourself reaching for a relationship just to feel okay, pause and ask, what am I hoping this person will regulate for me right now? That question is not about shame. It's about awareness. It's about self-respect. If this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another episode. And if you're open, reflect in the comments. What helps you feel grounded when you're alone? Wanting love doesn't make you weak. You deserve relationships that add to your life, not ones that feel like the only things holding you all together. Your worth was never dependent on being chosen. We're going to keep unpacking this gently. Until next week, be curious, stay kind, and keep your mind nerdy. See you next week. That's a wrap.
You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.